needs of that community will be brought more forcefully to the attention of the government and of the cabinet. Ms. Jones, of course, will not be restricted to St. Thomas's. She will have the responsibility to advise on matters throughout the island in terms of community. But that constituency and that community in particular, I think, of course, of the people of Craddock Road, the people of the Jessops, the people of Barnesgut and Cotton Ground, the people of Westbury, that those have been without any formal representation for a very, very long time in the cabinet. And so having someone who could come and report and direct and advise us to the concerns we feel is an important initiative which ought to be welcomed by the people of Nevis. Let me continue in the reporting mode and to say that the Ministry of Human Resources is very pleased to announce, and I am excited to announce, that Kiana Lawrence of Nisbet Settlement, St. James Parish, is a recent recipient of a Romanian scholarship. Ms. Lawrence will pursue a bachelor's degree in graphics design at the University of Timisoara, Romania. The Romanian scholarship program is offered by the Romanian state through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that I'm privileged to lead. We're in a different hat. Our citizens are afforded the opportunity to pursue bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degrees. Ms. Lawrence should be congratulated, and we wish her every success. Now, why am I proud? I'm proud because, as you know, I am almost fanatical about education, and I go across the globe, and I promote, I ask for, I request scholarship and training opportunities. I have complained from this podium and elsewhere that in the main our people do not take advantage of these opportunities for a variety of reasons. Cultural, social mores, people say things like that's too far. And so I'm so proud of Ms. Kiana Lawrence that she has stepped up and she's going to Romania. She will follow in the footsteps of some from our sister island of St. Kitts who themselves have taken advantage of this opportunity. While I'm on the issue of scholarships and training, let me also use this rostrum to remind that through the Human Resources Department, we are offering the Turkish Scholarship 2021. Scholarships are available in Turkey for bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. The deadline for application is the 20th of February this year. We are also in the throes of offering the Taiwan, MOFA, and ICDF scholarships for 2021. These scholarships are available in undergraduate and graduate studies. The deadline for the applications to reach the Ministry of Human Resources is the 22nd of February 2021. We are also offering Canada CARICOM Skills Training for the Green Economy scholarships. These are short-term programs for persons pursuing certificates, diplomas, and associate degrees in the following areas: climate-smart agriculture, coastal and fisheries management, renewable energy, sustainable building techniques, agroforestry. The application period for these scholarships is January to March 2021. The general public is encouraged to contact Mrs. Shanola Murray Gill or Ms. Ronnie Williams at the Ministry of Human Resources for any further information about these scholarships. I have taken the time, members of the press, and for those who are tuned in, to highlight these scholarships. Why? Because we have been making a concerted effort here at the Nevis Island Administration to encourage our young people especially to take advantage. In order to do that, we have in fact set up a scholarship desk at the Department of Human Resources. And the idea there is that those who are interested have, if you will, a one-stop shop, a place that they can go and get accurate, timely, and up-to-date information as to the requirements, the qualifications that you would have to access these scholarships, to get assistance in filling out the forms if necessary, and to get all information about deadlines and the like. So we certainly have tried to make it as easy as possible for our people, especially in this environment where we know jobs are tight because of a variety of factors, most important of which is the tremendous negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the island and the island's economy, the devastation of our tourism industry, which ordinarily employs quite a few people, we continue to suggest to our young people that this might be the good time to go off and study and prepare yourself to come back when we are ahead now and out of this pandemic to take up employment and to make your contribution here. If you're having a difficult time finding a job, and we understand the difficulties currently being experienced, this might be an opportune time for you to take advantage of some of these scholarship opportunities. And so we encourage you to go in and to have a look. Now, I go now to some very exciting news, and this has to do with the fact that, again, in an effort to stimulate the local economy, my government has been very active in trying to find new areas that we can venture into. We recognize that the traditional areas of tourism that we rely so heavily on, financial services and others, have taken a hit, and that we have been struggling, particularly in tourism, which continues to be the mainstay of the Nevis economy. We have not sat still. We have continued our very best to find new avenues to generate jobs and generate economic activity. I am therefore very pleased to announce to the public that we have entered into an arrangement with a company called Msr Media to do 2 feature films on the island of Nevis. The Msr Media producer, Philip Martinez, would have announced today to the international media that he will shoot a new comedy feature called 1 Year Off on the Caribbean island of Nevis. The film will be directed by Brad Watson, who did films like Miss Willoughby and The Haunted Bookshop. The film is written by Kate Wood, the writer of Miss Willoughby and The Haunted Bookshop, Mr. Martinez, who wrote Father Christmas is Back, and Stuart Thompson's BBC show The Break. From an original idea by Martinez, casting is underway for this ensemble comedy. 1 Year Off is the first film announced under a 2-picture production deal that Msr Media has negotiated with my government. Stringent COVID-19 guidelines have helped Nevis become a COVID-safe zone. A cast and crew of about 50 people have already started to arrive in Nevis under strict COVID protocols. I want to make that very clear, that there has been no relaxation of our COVID protocols. And so everyone coming in, cast and crew for these movies, will have to do the 14-day quarantine, have to do the testing that everyone else has to go through. So we have not asked for any special favors, and we explained to Mr. Martinez and his team that they would be required to adhere to the same standards as anyone else. They agreed, and I'm very pleased that he's here and others have already started to arrive. I think by my last count, we had over 20 persons who had already arrived, including some of the stars. You will hear who the stars are in the fullness of time, no doubt. But they're here, and they will be here, I'm advised, until around about the middle of May, the 3rd week of May or thereabouts. And so we have from now until then. If I can continue from the press release, Mr. Martinez has stated we are extremely proud to announce his partnership with the government of Nevis. Premier Mark Brantley's vision to develop the film industry is clear and exciting. During our negotiations, we have found his team wonderfully efficient and reliable partners. We plan to shoot 4 films in the Caribbean in 2021 and are overjoyed to kick off with 1 Year Off on Nevis. All of us at Msr Media hope to contribute to the development of the entertainment industry that will benefit the people of Nevis while offering a safe place for film productions. Principal photography for the British production is set to begin on February 25th. Under this far-reaching production deal, the Nevis government is offering access to multiple locations across the island and hotel support for visiting cast members. In turn, Msr Media has announced the creation of an education program to train local people in a variety of on-set roles in an effort to boost the island's production infrastructure. A plan to create an acting academy on the island is also underway. This collaboration between the island of Nevis and Msr Media was made possible thanks to the support of Colin Dorr, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Nevis, who was vital in arranging incentives and expediting work permits. J.D. Nyar, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nevis Tourism Authority, who coordinated arrangements with the COVID-19 task force, negotiated preferential rates for accommodation, and facilitated introductions to local service providers. And the Invisible Hand Foundation, which introduced Nevis to Msr Media as a new hub for the entertainment industry and facilitated introduction to respective government agencies that made this deal possible, said Mr. Martinez. Alongside Philip Martinez, the film is produced with Alan Latham from Highfield Grange Studios. The film's financial partner is Kirsty Bell from Goldfinch Entertainment, who serves as executive producer alongside Lee Beasley and Karen Burr from Msr Media. Msr Media International is handling worldwide rights for the film. A little bit about Msr Media. It is a boutique film and television production company based in York, England, led by producer Philip Martinez and managing director Lee Beasley. The company is uniquely positioned to create content suited to today's exciting market. Commercially viable film and television projects with very high production values, bankable lead actors, yet economically sound budgets. Msr Media has strategic international distribution partnerships through the international sales arm, Msr Media International, a boutique-style dynamic international sales company focusing on commercial feature films and television series for audiences around the world. Headquartered in the US with offices in the UK, Msr Media International's commercially driven principals have years of experience in the film industry, uniquely bringing together finance, production, and marketing skills to the company. Msr Media International fully understands the international sales market and assists and advises content producers on script development, production, finance, and crucially, the effective marketing campaign for the project to our long-standing buyers. I have quoted in part from a very extensive press release that goes out today. I believe it has already gone out today to markets globally. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that this is a very significant development for the island of Nevis. It is significant because it is the first time that we will have a feature film being produced on the island. It is the first time that we have not one but two feature films that we have partnered and negotiated to happen here. I'm advised that they will need about 30 employees locally during the production phase. Of course, technical and other people will no doubt be taken on board. And what I'm hopeful is that through the academy that they would wish to set up, we will have some important skills transfer. That is going to be critical, so that if we can develop this industry as we hope to, that over time, fewer and fewer people will have to be brought into the island. But on this occasion, for the first time, we have some 50 or so persons who have been brought in. And if you could imagine 50 persons on the island staying for roughly 3 months, 3.5 months, that too is significant for us. The media and the exposure for Nevis from this, I think, could be a game changer. And the fact that people internationally will now see Nevis as a film destination is for us a very important coup. So we are very grateful to the Invisible Hand Foundation, which made this introduction. We're very grateful to Mr. Martinez, who, having the whole Caribbean to choose from, opted to choose Nevis. But I cannot continue without also expressing my gratitude to our task force and those who have been on the front line in the fight against COVID-19. Because being part of the negotiations, I can tell you that the ultimate decision maker, the ultimate issue that pushed them towards Nevis was that we had had such an exemplary record in relation to COVID-19. They knew that we are serious. They have seen it even in terms of my own discussions with them about our protocols. And because they have confidence in our protocols, they have confidence in what we have been able to achieve in terms of COVID-19. That is how we won over other bigger and more established and better financed islands and countries in the region. So I think it's a good day for Nevis, and I hope that the press will agree that it is a remarkable opportunity and something that we hope now we can use as a springboard to great things happening here. Mr. Martinez is, I'm told, in love with the island. Have not yet met him. He's in quarantine. But I hope to meet him. And I'm hopeful that some members of the press who are here can have their acting skills activated. And not just act at the Premier's press conference, but go out and act in a movie and get credit for that and paid for that. So I'm told they will need 30 workers, but they will also need about 200 extras. And extras, I'm told, are people who, you know, stand at the bar, they are in the restaurant, they're walking on the street, etc. And extras are paid as well. So if you get a job as an extra, you're also paid. So 30 people will be the ones to actually do things like the transportation, the catering, etc. And then the extras are the ones who will actually appear in the movie alongside the main cast. So I'm very excited, and I hope that we find 200 people here who are willing to go out and earn a little money as extras in this first movie. The movie is called, again, 1 Year Off. I can tell you what the movie is about, but, you know, I believe that we'll save that for another time. Let me continue. The St. Thomas's Primary School did something, I think, phenomenal a few days ago. And I wanted to mention it specifically because under the leadership of the head teacher, Norleen Smitten, and her staff, they arranged an event which saw the fathers for the children at that school coming to the school and engaging in an unusual way, perhaps with their daughters. And a video has surfaced, which has gone viral, of the fathers competing at combing their daughters' hair. And I know some look at it as maybe a bit comedic, because perhaps it is not traditional for fathers to comb their daughters' hair. And I recall one daughter, I believe it was the daughter of Minister Troy Liebert, saying that she's not going to go to town with her hair like that. But to see Troy Liebert, my colleague, and to see other fathers combing their daughters' hair and participating in such a meaningful way and creating such a meaningful bond with their children, and in this case, their daughters, I thought was something truly inspiring and phenomenal. And I thought I would mention it here because I want to commend the innovation that we keep seeing from our schools, from our people generally. I am not aware that this was any directive from the ministry to do this. This was an initiative, I'm advised, that emanated from the principal and staff at the St. Thomas's Primary School. And I want to give them every commendation. As a matter of fact, I want this to become the sort of activity that we see replicated in other schools around the island. Thankfully, as Premier at my age, I can encourage it because I have no children whose hair needs combing and who are at that age anymore, because I'm not sure that I have the necessary skill set. But the fact of seeing fathers engage with their daughters in that way was truly heartwarming. And I realize that the video has gone viral, and I believe that the St. Thomas's Primary School should be commended. Some other quick notes. The Paradise Beach Resort has been voted Best Villa Resort of the Year for the second year by the award-winning International Caribbean World magazine. St Kitts and Nevis was also voted as the Best Wedding Islands of the Year by the same magazine. I think that's good promotion for us, and congratulations to the Paradise Beach Resort. I'm also proud to announce that in addition to the Four Seasons Resort, the Paradise Beach Resort, and the Golden Rock Inn, that the Montpelier Plantation Inn has also now been approved by the COVID-19 task force to accept international guests. And so we look forward to some restoration of normalcy at that hotel, and yet another property on Nevis is back in business, so to speak. I would, since this is the first time I'm speaking publicly at this press conference, take the time to congratulate our Commissioner of Police, Mr. Hilroy Brandy, who has been awarded the Queen's Medal by Her Majesty the Queen for his distinguished and meritorious 39 years of service to law enforcement. Congratulations, Commissioner Brandy, the first Nevisian to serve as Commissioner of the Royal St Kitts and Nevis Police Force. I also wish, since I'm in congratulatory mood, to applaud U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Clayton James Sutton for receiving praise for his work in commanding the U.S. Virgin Islands National General Contingent in Washington, D.C. during the inauguration of President Biden. Clayton is a son of the soil who would have done many tours at the height of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars and led the security and recovery efforts in the USVI after the destruction from Hurricane Irma. And I know Clayton well. I believe the Permanent Secretary, Premier's Ministry, and Clayton were in the same class. And not because he looks younger than me, I was below them in school. So I want to point that out. But Clayton really has done well, and we want to commend him for his service. Let me go back to the St. Thomas's Primary School to also congratulate them on their 50th anniversary of that school. Let me spend a moment as well, although this doesn't really impact the Premier's ministry, so to speak. It does impact the island of Nevis, because we have recently had good news that some of our young diplomats are being posted overseas and are being allowed, therefore, to go overseas and to continue to develop their skill sets in diplomacy. One such is young Chanel Simmons, who's from Nevis. I believe she's from the Beach Road area. And another is young Sheldon Henry, who is from the Brick Hill area, I'm told, but Sheldon is also from Nevis. The other young lady is from St. Kitts, Denala Laplace, and they will all be deployed internationally. And I'm very happy that these youngsters, who are absolutely, absolutely wonderful at what they do, are being given this opportunity and therefore are going off to do more for their country in the area of diplomacy. Some more announcements, members of the press. Forgive me, but there's a lot that I have to report on. The Board of Directors of NEVLEC is pleased to advise that Mr. Albert Gordon has been chosen as the new general manager of that company. Mr. Gordon holds a BSc in electrical engineering and an MBA in finance, along with several other qualifications. He is trained not only in electricity but also in water. He is presently employed as the CEO of the Guyana Power and Light, Inc. His contract ends on the 31st of January, and he will then come to us and take up his position as of February 2021. I believe the members of the press were aware, the question is often asked, that we were in a search for a new general manager at NEVLEC, and having conducted their interviews, the board has made a decision. Some announcements in relation to water. The Nevis Water Department will be collecting the solid waste disposal levy on behalf of the Nevis Island Administration instead of NEVLEC during the second quarter of 2021. The necessary legislative changes, regulations, policies, etc. will be put in place. The Nevis Water Department will also be relocating their offices shortly to better serve the general public and to avoid a potential rising health issue with the presence of mold at their old office. The offices, including the billing section, will be in the Solomon Arcade, which is located opposite the War Memorial in the heart of Charlestown. The Nevis Water Department will also have its first Water Department staff retreat next Tuesday at the Nevis Performing Arts Center under the theme, Challenge Yourself in a Changing Working Environment. Now, an important notice. The Water Department is asking all persons, entities, and businesses who are in arrears to settle all outstanding debts with the Nevis Water Department as soon as possible. The department will implement a disconnection program due to non-payment starting 1st of March 2021. We've given, I believe, ample time. Your full cooperation and understanding will be greatly appreciated as we seek to improve the services to the general public. Now, why are we engaging in this? I will tell you, members of the press, that the numbers are simply staggering. The numbers are staggering. And the kind of people and businesses that are on the list for not paying for water will make even the hardest heart cry. I believe that all of us must play our part. And it cannot be fair that the single mother who is currently unemployed is trying to find her little money each month to pay for water, and big companies and wealthy people in the community are refusing to pay. The same is true of electricity. There seems to be a cadre of people in our community who feel that these things ought to be free for them. But the minute that water goes off, Tutmun Saman Bagay takes to the media, social media. They abuse everybody because there's no water in the pipes. But somehow we seem to forget that the staff has to be paid, that the generation of water to bring it to your homes costs money, and that water is currently a heavily subsidized commodity. They say water is life, but it's one of the cheapest commodities that is available. So when people are paying, was it $30, $40 maybe for 10,000 gallons of water, and not paying, and when I see on the list important companies and important individuals in the community owing $19,000, $20,000, $30,000, how you get to $30,000 if water is $40 for 10,000 gallons? It means that you haven't paid in years. So we are saying it is time for us to get serious, and for people simply to be responsible citizens. We are not seeking to put any additional burden or hardship on our people. We understand the situation. But I go back to my analogy. It is unfair for the single mother, the struggling father, the old grandmother, to have to find the resources to get water and electricity, and persons who we know can pay, businesses that we know can pay, refuse to pay. And so we are getting serious, and I'm making the announcement openly that persons can go in and do the right thing. And if you cannot pay all, that is okay. Go in and make an arrangement. But at least demonstrate that you are a responsible citizen and that you understand that we cannot generate or run these departments on air or ether. We need those who are consuming to pay for what they consume. And so we encourage you to do the right thing. We have mentioned before the milling machine that we purchased, the brand new milling machine, to help us in our public works activities, particularly our road work. And I'm pleased that the supplier will be here to officially commission the machine during the period 6th to 17th February. During the training, actual milling and resurfacing of sections of our road networks will be undertaken, and we anticipate that that will negatively impact the flow of traffic temporarily. And so we ask for your patience as we seek to get through what we need to do. Ministry of Health, let me segue there. Some very important announcements. In recognition of Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, the Community Health Nursing Services will be hosting their annual free pap smear drive on Saturday, January 30th at all 6 health centers on the island between the hours of 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. We encourage women to go and ascertain their status. Detection saves lives. And again, I have been relentless in seeking to invite the press to help me with the messaging that detection saves lives. And that cervical cancer in particular, if detected early, can be cured. It is one of those cancers which does not necessarily mean a death sentence. But our women have to take responsibility for their health. And And we're not asking you to go to a doctor and pay. We are offering the service for free. We're offering the service for free. Go to your health center in your community between the hours of 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Saturday, January 30th, and ascertain your status. Please take responsibility for your health. We know we do the prostate screening for men, and that has resulted in dramatic reductions, I'm told, in the incidences of prostate cancer on the island of Nevis. We can do the same for cervical cancer. We have introduced the HPV vaccine, and we know that if women go and any cell changes are detected, that cervical cancer can be dealt with at an early stage. I am imploring you, please take advantage of these opportunities. Contact the Charlestown Health Center, 469-5521, the Brownhill Health Center, 661-7653, the Gingerland Health Center, 469-5521, the Butlers Health Center, 469-8254, the Combermere Health Center, 469-9323, or the Cotton Ground Health Center, 469-5521. We are bringing the necessary health care right into your communities, and we ask you to take advantage of it. Get up, put on your clothes, and go on Saturday and get tested. The Health Promotion Unit presents a series of monthly activities aimed at increasing physical activity and improving health and wellness while enjoying the natural environs of our lovely island. Registration is required for these activities. For the month of January, a hike is planned to the Madden's Waterfall. You can call them, the Health Promotion Unit, to register at 469-5521. Some other exciting news. In an effort to improve our emergency services, the Alexandra Hospital has recently introduced a dedicated emergency number, 469-3333. This may sound simple, but I think is a giant leap forward for Nevis. Because right in this room, I've had the complaint that when people dial 911, they're not sure what happens. Sometimes they say the phone is picked up in St Kitts. Sometimes people have difficulty trying to explain. Well, you know we've invested recently in 2 brand new ambulances, the first of its kind for the island. We have now gone and had a dedicated line, 469-3333, for emergency calls to our hospital. Calls will be answered promptly, and the caller will be asked to stay on the line to provide the operator with some basic information pertaining to the nature of the emergency, location, address, etc. Please, I'm asking you to be responsible with the use of this number. Put differently and colloquially, don't call the number for foolishness. The number is for serious emergencies, and we're asking them to use it sensibly and be responsible. 469-3333. 3333. That is the number to call if you need the ambulance or emergency services from our hospital. I want to go on record to congratulate Madam Minister Hazel Brandy and the entire team, the Prominent Secretary Shalisa Martin. They have done a phenomenal job in getting this to this point. Another major announcement. I have so many headlines today I don't know. You all be writing for the rest of the month, I believe, at least. Because today I'm announcing that many of you would be aware that our matron of long-standing, Nurse Diaz, Matron Diaz, that she has decided that it is time for retirement. And our second in command there, Nurse Scarborough, is also at the point when she too will be retiring. And so we did an exhaustive search, invited applications, and had a broad panel of interviewers to determine who we could select to replace these nurses who have served us so importantly and so wonderfully over the past many years. I am pleased to announce today that Nurse Chandrika Prasad Wallace is to be appointed matron, while Nurse Gracelyn Hanley and Nurse Daima Golden will provide support in the roles of assistant matrons with special responsibilities. Now this is new. It's the first time we've had, if you will, a talent search of this kind, where we have asked for applications and done extensive interviews. The interviews, I'm told, were done based on the resumes, based on the approach, but we also did something interesting. We asked the other nurses and the staff what they thought about the applicants, and that review was also part of the process. Not only that, but these 3 nurses, who were the 3 shortlisted, are all very talented. They're all nationals of St Kitts and Nevis, and they have all performed remarkably well. They have all educated themselves and equipped themselves for the role, and they're all young women. It means, therefore, that we hope that we will have many years from them. More women being empowered, and I'm happy to see that. Another innovation here is that whereas in the past we had only 1 deputy matron, we have now bifurcated that role and we'll have 2. And they will be assigned special responsibilities. And so the matron will have the support of 2 senior persons as her deputy, assigned different responsibilities. So we are pioneering a new structure at the hospital. And I would want to take this opportunity to congratulate Nurse Chandrika Prasad Wallace, Nurse Gracelyn Hanley, and Nurse Daima Golding. In the month of December, the Ministry of Health was the recipient of 10 boxes of non-medical masks. These masks, I'm told, came up to 10,000 masks, and they were donated by a well-known division, Mr. Lofton Sargent. Mr. Sargent is, I believe, originally from Cotton Ground. I hope I'm right. Sargent is a Cotton Ground name. But he lives in the Washington, D.C. area, I think. And he contacted me and he said, through his connections, he wanted to make a substantial contribution. And we are very grateful to you, Mr. Sargent, if you're listening. If you're not and your family's listening, I hope they'll convey to you our warm appreciation and thanks for remembering us here in Nevis. And that is why the diaspora has always been so important. I tell people all the time that regardless of where people happen to live, their hearts remain in Nevis because we have a special bond, that umbilical cord that connects us to our island, the island of our birth. And here's Mr. Sargent, who has lived abroad for all these years, saying, I have access to masks and I'm going to make some available. And we will share those masks with our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts. I'm told that the ministry is making some available to St. Kitts so that it becomes a contribution to the entire Federation. We would like, again, to thank Mr. Sargent for his generous donation. Some more exciting news, members of the press. The Gender Affairs Department is currently hosting a web design training workshop for persons on Nevis. The initiative was launched on the 9th of January, and sessions will run every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the remainder of the month. Some 29 persons, male, female, some young, some not so young, have registered and will be introduced to topics such as website analytics with WordPress, WooCommerce and e-commerce options, search engine optimization, payment gateway integration, and more. Designing a website today goes beyond aesthetics to include content and the website's overall functionality. This is an area we encourage as more and more businesses, including government, are moving towards online platforms. Let me take this opportunity to thank the Invisible Hand Foundation and the facilitator, Mr. Rodney Brown of St. Kitts, for undertaking this particular training. Why am I excited about this? I'm excited about this because in this environment now of COVID-19, where we're telling people that being physically distant is part of the protocol, we are seeking to enhance the skill sets of our people, that they can develop websites, they can optimize websites, optimize search engines, and offer that service to others. This is something you can do from your home. So it fits very nicely into what we're seeking to do, to add value and to encourage our people not to simply sit back and say, oh, I can't find a job, but to create an opportunity. So the government isn't just sitting back. We are working, we are partnering with persons. We are saying, do something new, do something different. If you're accustomed to work at the hotel and the hotel is closed, or the hotel, because of inadequate occupancy, cannot employ you, do not simply sit back. Step up and take advantage of one of these opportunities. That is what we are seeking to do, to have our people retool and re-energize themselves and change the thinking so that we can proceed in a way that is beneficial to us and to our island. Some quick updates from tourism. The Pinnis Park project, I'm sure all of you drive along and you see it happening. I'm very proud of that project because when it's done, it will be a state-of-the-art modern facility for the benefit of the people of Nevis and, of course, the people of St Kitts. I'm told that it is now at 45.3% level of completion. Don't ask me how the computation is done. I'm merely telling you what I'm told. 45.3%. And as we know, we should have a grand opening if all goes well in December. The public restrooms are nearing completion. The lawn amphitheater is substantively complete in terms of structural work. Some cosmetic stonework is to be done. Construction of the footpath along the southern border of the park leading from the amphitheater to the visitor center has commenced. And we are well underway in terms of the parking as well. The project is, I'm advised, on target to be completed by the expected completion date of December 2021. We are also proud to announce that, and I'll tell you more about it as we go, that we will have some upgrades at some of our heritage sites here in Nevis, specifically New River, Fort Charles, and Eden Brown. Those are sites that we look to do some work on this year, and I will provide more information on that as we go. Some updates from the Nevis Tourism Authority. In collaboration with the Department of Community Development, the NTV hosted a very successful virtual event called Nothing Like a Nevisian Holiday, which took place at the Hermitage Hotel. The event had over 10,000 viewers over the 4-hour production. We also have created at the NTA an infographic for incoming travelers, and this was done in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. They've also released a new adventure video highlighting key experiences and activities on Nevis, which has had very good engagement. And a new wellness video is to be released in February, March. We've also, through the NTA, using technology, hosted the first virtual fam trip in the UK and presented to key travel stakeholders, which was very well attended. Nevis, I'm sure all of you know as well, was recently featured on the famous Wheel of Fortune, with a contestant winning a prize to Nevis and accommodation at the Golden Rock Inn. And Llewellyn Clark, the pepper sauce man, was featured with the Four Seasons on ITV, one of the highest rated morning shows in the UK. This level of exposure is important because it demonstrates that despite the pandemic, we have not simply folded our hands. We are not simply saying, woe is me, woe is me. We are continually working. We are making effort, we are trying. Not everything is going to work, but I can assure you that we are out there every day seeking to do the best that we can. From agriculture, and I promise I shall soon be done with this introductory statement, the Ministry of Agriculture on January 19th would have hosted Agenda 2021 under the theme Reigniting the Passion and Trust as we ensure food and nutrition security. I was there, and we had a very inspiring address from a local farmer, Mackie Tross, who I think broke it down very nicely for all of those in attendance, even the non-technical folks like me. I would want to commend, of course, Minister Alexis Jeffers, Deputy Premier of Nevis, Minister of Agriculture in Nevis, but also Federal Minister of Agriculture for his dynamism and bringing this Agenda 2021, where all stakeholders in agriculture are brought together. Let me also commend his Permanent Secretary, Huey Sargent, who continues to do an excellent job, and the Director of Agriculture, Mr. Randy Elliott, and the entire team. The Department of Agriculture will, I'm told, tomorrow, Friday, hold another of its weekly fresh produce sales. These are done in combination with farmers' markets to make available fresh produce at bargain prices to our residents. The Nevis Fisheries Complex, with support from the Department of Marine Resources, will also on Friday host the second annual Fish Festival at the Charlestown waterfront. Come on out for a taste of everything from the sea, and a fishing tournament is expected to take place. Fishers on Nevis are reminded of 3 consultations coming up next week from the 1st to the 3rd of February at the Disaster Management Office, the Franklin Brown Community Center, and the Charles Walters Community Center, respectively. I think that that is very important. The Ministry of Agriculture has an important notice. What is that notice? The notice is that we continue to have a problem with predial larceny. It's a big word. All it means is the theft of crops. You see, you have some people go out to work every day. And they have other people who sit down and watch you go out to work every day and wait and lurk to steal what you have produced. We are a society that ought to encourage our people to go out and work every day and to make an honest living. And so the department recognizes that predial larceny continues to be a problem and that some people are reaping where they did not sow. And we are asking our people to desist from that type of behavior. But the department is going further and is saying that where you, members of the public, are buying vegetables, fruits, please try as much as possible to buy from established farmers. If you find Johnny coming to try and sell you breadfruit and Johnny don't have no breadfruit tree, and you know breadfruit is normally $2, Johnny said give him 50 cents. It is possible that Johnny has reaped where he did not sow. And so one of the ways that we hope to tackle this predial larceny is to cut off the avenue for those who are stealing from selling. And you, the members of the public, can help in that regard. And so that for us is a very important message that we would like to send. The ministry, and in my capacity as Premier of Nevis, I would also like to condemn unreservedly some recent acts of vandalism that we have seen. We saw one farmer's crops destroyed. We have just yesterday, I believe, or the day before, heard of another farmer's whose animals were destroyed. We have in this little Nevis been fighting valiantly since COVID came as an unexpected and uninvited visitor to enhance our food security. We cannot achieve that if we have farmers and others in conflict with each other who are set now upon destruction of crops and destruction of livestock. The government and the people will never achieve the food security that we seek if this is the case. And so I am imploring our people to do what is right and condemning unreservedly those bad actors who would have seen it fit to destroy a farmer's crops and have seen it fit to seek to destroy a farmer's livestock. We simply cannot continue in that vein. I have reached out to the police, and we are, of course, inviting them to do a thorough investigation so that those culprits could be brought to justice. But if they're hearing me, I want them to understand that there's no room in Nevis for that type of behavior. This government has tried its level best to help our farming community. We have provided free seeds, free seedlings, free land preparation, free plowing. We have made land available. We have provided free fencing, free water. All the inputs we have provided to seek to stimulate agricultural activity. For our livestock farmers, we've given them free feed. For our fisher folk, we provided free fish pot wire and other implements. I say free. You know nothing in government is free. What I mean by that is it's free to the farmers, but you, the taxpayers, have been the one to finance that. And all of this we've done because we have decided that the abiding lesson of COVID-19 is that the people of Nevis should never again be wholly dependent on tropical shipping coming in with food from Miami. We have to be able to feed ourselves and to be self-sufficient, at least in some of our food items. At Agenda 2021, I was advised that in 2020, we imported over $20 million of food products that could have been produced here. So this is not the other things that cannot be produced here. I'm talking about food products that could have been produced here. There's nothing stopping us from producing chicken, pork, mutton, beef, vegetables. And we know when we produce here, we have something that's fresh, we have something that's organic, we have something that we can trust. A lot of us rush to the supermarket and we buy a piece of meat. We have no idea where that meat is from or how long it has taken to get to us. We buy vegetables. We have no idea how long they have been refrigerated. No idea how they were produced, whether any chemicals were applied. When we eat our own, when we produce our own, we're able to eat healthier. We're able to support our local economy. Imagine, if you will, that $20 million had stayed here and had been spent in the local economy instead of exported to Miami to buy food, to be sent in refrigerated containers to us. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that all of us have to support our farmers. And where people are seeking to do damage to farmers, we must condemn it unreservedly. And so we're very clear in that regard. Before I leave agriculture, we were forced yesterday to put out a press release from the Premier's ministry because the Department of Agriculture advised that the Gingerland Cemetery was painted by a group of youngsters who, I believe, were well-meaning, but who sought to paint the cemetery wall without any permission or any discussion with the Department of Agriculture, which manages the cemeteries on Nevis. And so yesterday, through the Premier's ministry, we did something that I never thought would have been necessary, but it has proven necessary, which is to say that we encourage organizations and civic groups to do activities in the community. In fact, those activities help build better and stronger communities. But please, where government property is concerned, ensure that you have conducted yourself in accordance with the law and that you have sought and obtained the necessary permissions. With proper consultation and discussion, the activity could be managed, it could be agreed upon. Nobody is surprised. There's no controversy. There is simply contribution to the development of the island. And so yesterday we put out a very clear release to remind people of what is obvious. That you can't just go down and paint administration building on Sunday and say it needed paint, so we painted purple. That while you encourage civic organizations and groups to contribute, that those organizations and groups must understand that they contribute in a particular context. Because if we don't have that, we will end up with chaos on the island. And so we're simply appealing to our groups, community groups, civic organizations, whoever they may be, that when they wish to make a contribution that involves any alteration, any beautification to public property, that they simply consult with and obtain the permission from the relevant ministry. I don't believe there's anything controversial in that, and so I'm hopeful that we will not have that problem reoccurring in the future. I promise that I'm coming to the end so that I could have some questions. Just to announce that we are having a Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year 2020. I'm told that on the 28th of January at 11 a.m., isn't that today? 11 a.m., that presentation will be made to the Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year 2020. It has been coordinated by sportscaster Curtis Morton, who we know from NTV, Nevis Television. The Sportsman of the Year is Kesron Colin Archibald, who merits the award based on the fact that he was the only player from St Kitts and Nevis to make it into the St Kitts and Nevis Patriots team. And the Sportswoman of the Year is Tashika Bowen. She was the MVP of the exciting netball tournament hosted by the Ministry of Sports and the Nevis Netball Association. We certainly commend them and wish them well. Let me give you another headline. We are congratulating the following players on their selection to the West Indies under-19 squad. Carlon Tuckett, Akidianto Willett, Jaden Carmichael, Justin Armadan, and Onaje Amri. We wish the players all the best and hope that they will make it into the final squad. The 2022 ICC Under-19 World Cup is scheduled to take place in the West Indies. Let me also congratulate Kyron Powell, Ross Powell, and Colin Kesey Archibald, who will be representing the Leeward Island Hurricanes in the Super 50 tournament, which commences in February. So cricket is certainly making a comeback, and our youngsters are making us proud, and we're hopeful that they will continue in that regard. Some cultural notes. We are very proud to have seen the revitalization of steel pan in Nevis. This was evidenced at the recently held Sugar Mass 49 Panorama in St Kitts. I believe that Nevisians should be proud that of the 7 bands competing in the Panorama for Sugar Mass, 4 were from Nevis. The Pandora's Steel Orchestra, the Sweet Sticks Ensemble, Steel on Fire, and the Nevis Pan Ensemble. I believe that that ought to be commended. In addition, Delhi, Speedy, and Daddy Tusty of the core band were featured as top road march winners in the Federation in the Sugar Mass Icons show. We will continue through the NCDF to foster cultural development here on the island of Nevis, and I think that we should applaud all of those who are involved in keeping our culture alive. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that I have given you quite a substantial amount of information. I ask your forgiveness, as I often do, if I have been overly long. I did try my best to limit some of the information that I was given, but I believe that my report has been fulsome, and I would now invite your questions.
Good morning, Premier Brantley.
Good morning.
Glenn Bart, SKN Newsline. 3 questions. With the expected reduction of income to the Nevis administration, how difficult will it be to sustain salaries of the civil servants and for the implementation of programs and capital projects? Secondly, with regards to the situation with the movie being made in Nevis, is this a one-off occurrence, or is there an organized program of promotion that the NIA is pursuing to bring filmmaking to Nevis? Thirdly, with the uncertainty of the full recovery of tourism over the next 2 or 3 years, what direction is the NIA steering the economy of Nevis, and what is the medium-term development vision for the island? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bart. Thank you for your questions. Salaries and whether we can sustain what we're doing, we are hopeful that we can. The government has done everything in its power. During what I would call the worst days of the pandemic, we may yet have days that prove to be worse than we are experiencing now. I do not know what the future holds, but certainly last year when we had lockdowns and the like, and people were very dislocated at the time, we tried our best to keep things together. We have done that with the limited resources that we have. Our bankers have been kind to us. They've allowed us some facilities. And we are hopeful that if we could have done that then, that now that the economy is showing some signs of life, that it will allow us to continue. I am not predicting or expecting spectacular growth this year, but I'm hopeful that we can continue to keep our head above water